That's too much right there. Good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, January 5th, and my boy Anthony LaPera is getting in the gear game. Looking sharp, my man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
That looks good. So fill us in. What is going on? First off, if you work with Anthony, okay, sounds like you better hit him up for one of those sick West Penn hoodies he's got going on right there. That thing is looking good.
Send me an email. Give me a call. I'll hook you up.
Oh, wait, so I hear you got a production line you set up in the garage.
The whole thing, man. Everything.
That's sick. Looking good.
People want the shirts and the hats, man.
They look good, man. And also, it's nice for our visitors because we got that special segment coming up on Tuesday when we're going to go in there and see how he does it.
We'll have Mrs. LaPera hold the camera as we watch Anthony do his side job, apparel maker.
Be a spinoff.
So you know what? Any local sports team, if you're looking for any shirts need made, head over to the LaPera residence, and he'll get you going at a very affordable price.
He does it for the kids.
Do it for the kids.
For the kids, Anth, for the kids. But good morning, everybody. It's been a pretty crazy start to the year. I feel like, what did you say yesterday, Tom? Everyone's New Year's resolution was to get pre-approved or update their pre-approval, because I feel like since Tuesday, the phones have been ringing off the hook, which is good. Signs to come here in 2024. I think there's a lot of optimism.
Yeah, I've actually in the first week I've done as many pre-approvals as I did all last month. So it's been a crazy good flurry.
Tommy Analytics, we call them. But we have to be aware of not expect too much too soon, right? Like everyone's talking rates coming down, but it's not going to happen overnight. There's a jobs report coming out today that is going to be huge for the forecast for the first quarter here to see where we are. So hopefully going into the weekend, we'll have some positive or negative information that helps rates. We just don't know yet. It might be a strong market and rates may tick up. We really have no clue where this jobs report will come out. We're waiting for it, but keep an eye out today because we'll try to update everyone as much as possible if we're going into the weekend, so you have those updated rates for your open houses. But the big news that we all sat in on this week is we watched a webinar with our man Barry Habib with MBS Highway and List Reports, and he was updating us on the N.A.R. situation with their lawsuit. And of course, we're not lawyers. We're not trying to predict anything that's going to happen, but they were, they like to give monthly updates and fill everyone in, because there was the big news that there was this settlement, or this judgment, I guess it would be, but the judge hasn't even made their final decision yet. So there isn't even anything to appeal at this point. Guys, I know when we were listening to that on the law side of things, they literally said 4 to 5 years of this taking place in the courts. And I think on an individual basis, I don't think anyone has to worry at this point about that specific lawsuit. That's for the big corporations, that's for the lawyers, and that's for those guys to take care of that. Our job is to look at, okay, now this information is out in the public. What is this going to do to the industry? Is this going to change things? If it is going to change things, how are we at West Penn going to be ready, and how are we going to help you guys prepare for any change? And that's why we want to kind of talk this over and go through it on our side, just so on the financing end, you guys can see, hey, we're in this with you. This is an industry battle that it can absolutely change the industry, but I don't think it's going to. I think it's just going to make sure that everyone gets a little bit more information. The biggest thing in my eyes, that Pennsylvania is one of only 12 states that have the buyer agency. I think that's going to be huge. I didn't know that there was only 12 states. It's pretty common not to have that. So I think for the 38 states that don't have any buyer agency or have anything to represent the buyer, that's going to be a bigger change for them. And it seems like all those states are pretty much reacting quickly to add those disclosures into their sides of things. But I don't see on the PA side that having to change. But again, we're not lawyers, we're not real estate agents. We're not too sure what's going to happen there.
No, I think that, yeah, with us having that buyer agency, we're not going to see any short-term change on what's happening with the lawsuit. I think those people are more reactionary in those other states trying to make sure it's in there during this whole process. But since we do have it in there, I don't think that we're going to see any drastic changes here right off the bat.
Yeah, and one of the biggest changes obviously is going to be when the sellers start asking the question of, do I have to pay for a buyer's agent commission, and what does that all mean? We haven't really seen that at this point in our market at all. I haven't seen it yet. Though on the webinar, there were folks across the entire country, and it does seem like things happen on the West Coast first and kind of make their way across. And there are plenty of markets that is starting to happen, that sellers are saying zero or very little, or maybe a set amount for a buyer's agent, which is changing the game. Because then the buyer has to have representation. Representation has to get paid. So the only way that that's going to happen is the buyer pay for it. And frankly, what they were talking about on the webinar, if it comes down to the buyer paying agent compensation, that's going to adversely affect all the groups that are trying to be protected in today's world, which, isn't going to be a negative effect to this. If not everyone can purchase a home because you have to pay for representation, now instead of going 30,000 over asking, right, that person is just going to pay for representation and they'll be able to take care of it. But if you're a first-time home buyer, most first-time home buyers are scraping together enough just to come up with down payment and closing costs. Now you're going to add on agent commission. Now becoming a first-time home buyer just got more difficult. Or is seller assistance, hey, Mr. Seller said no to 0% to the buyer. Okay. Or to the buyer's agent. That's fine with our offer. We're going to ask for seller assistance. And in turn, the seller is going to pay for it in the end. Like, I don't know how it's going to end up turning out, but not everyone that currently buys houses can afford to pay for buyer agent commission. But it seems like something is coming down the line on that side of things way quicker than the actual lawsuit and the findings and the outcome of that. And that's what I'm more concerned about, is in the Pittsburgh market, if sellers start saying, hey, we're zero, what does that do, and how does that change things? How do buyer's agents show some houses and not other houses? Explain you may have to pay a commission, you may not have it. Craziness.
No, it is. And I mean, ultimately, I think that one that is going to pay for the buy side commission might sell a little bit faster than the other one.
Right.
Just simple numbers. I don't think that's against the law of how that would be written, going to that one first, but it just makes more sense. I mean, the house that doesn't have the buyer representation, we're almost thinking if they're not selling a home and have that equity to put down, they're going to have to get the seller's assist. And that seller that's selling the home is just going to have to live with taking less money because they offered not to pay for the real estate agent.
And I mean, maybe I'm living in a fantasy world. Maybe that seller believes I'll still get it. There's still a low enough inventory that I'll get an offer good enough without offering that. But once you start talking to a buyer and explain that, hey, it is customary that the seller always decided on the commission, and then that commission was split between the two real estate agents, however that listing agent decided. But when they start talking about paying themselves and see what that cost could be, they may not even want to see a house that they have to pay. They're like, no, I literally can't afford that scenario, so don't even show it to me. I don't even want to see it. I mean, I don't know. And
I think there are reasonable people that will actually do that, but I also do think there are the people that are very unreasonable, and they're going to put up a hissy fit in that situation. I don't know what that outcome will be for the hissy fit buyer.
Right. Like they're being taken advantage almost of, because in certain house there's this scenario, and
when they put the lawsuit out there to say they're not getting taken advantage. So it's a catch-22 on that.
There's a lot of, the toughest part about this is educating the public. That is going to be the biggest, hardest point for everyone, is figuring out how we educate the public of how to move forward. But it does seem like it's coming sooner than later on the commission side, or if a seller starts putting their foot down and saying zero, which again, I haven't seen yet, but we need to prepare if it does happen. And seller assistance is a great way to offset that, especially if you're going to go FHA and you can get 6% seller assistance. There's then some to still help with closing costs, and then there's some to help with extra commission cost if it's in there. And please don't be afraid of that FHA boogeyman. I did just get an FHA loan back this week. The appraisal came in, no conditions. We're closing the loan in 30 days. It's just like a conventional loan. There's no difference in the processing and underwriting. The listing agent called me. We discussed the property. There was no red flags that would call for an FHA appraisal issue, and we got it through no problem. So how I'm going to end into the weekend, guys, and you can follow up if you have anything else, just don't be afraid of FHA loans. They are absolutely great programs, and buyers can benefit from that loan.
No, yeah, that's good stuff there. Thank you for the day, host. Want to give one more shout out to all of us here for a great 2023. So I believe we did finish in the top of the company. So all three of us, huge shout to us.
Great job, guys.
Yeah, somehow Anthony pulled it off one more time, but
I'd rather have that than crybabies all around this year. So.
Well, next year he's in trouble. That's all I have to say. 2024 is the
Coming
year.
for you, Pat. Coming for you, Pat.
Yeah, all great dynasties have to come to an end. The Patriots were there for a while, and now they're dead.
He got shirt machines, so I don't know how dead he is.
It's true. He is coming strong with the. I mean, he's going in the self-employment just so he can get that 1099.
I think Clark's going to start building my shed here in 2 weeks. That's going to be my factory.
Got to do something to get some taxes back.
Love it. All right, boys. Have a great weekend.
See you guys.
Later.
Go Steelers.